Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Funeral ceremonies for Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI were held at the Vatican today. In his homily during the concelebrated funeral mass, the Holy Father spoke of the wisdom, gentleness and devotion of Benedict, who died at the age of 95 on the 31st of December at the Mater Ecclesiae Monastery in the Vatican Gardens. The body of Benedict XVI had been lying in state in St. Peter's Basilica since the 2nd of January, where the faithful had been able to say goodbye to him until yesterday evening.
Moved. It's a moment of renewal, I would say so, and a touching moment because he was a great pope.
Due to the Pope Francis's health, the funeral mass was presided over by Cardinal Giovanni Battista. The Holy Father was limited to giving a homily. Holding fast to the Lord's last words and to the witness of his eternal life, we too, as an ecclesial community, want to follow in his steps and to commend our brother into the hands of the Father. May those merciful hands find his lamp alight with the oil of the gospel that he spread and testified to for his entire life. The funeral ceremony was attended by 50,000 people. For the first time in history, the late Pope was bid farewell by only 2 official state delegations, from Italy and from Germany. There was no shortage of other world leaders, but their presence was in a private capacity. Poland was represented by President Andrzej Duda and Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki. Thank you very much to everyone who came here. Thank you very much to all those who were in spirit or in front of their television sets with us as well in these moments of saying goodbye to the Holy Father. It was an important moment because he was a very important figure for the Catholic Church. The faithful from around the world accompanied Benedict XVI on his final journey. He was a man of great faith, and I want to emulate him in kindness, restraint, and great faith. I am touched. This is my second time in Rome, and it's a very solemn moment. I am very happy to be here. Benedict was a great pope, and he left the Church a legacy of friendship with Jesus. Joseph Ratzinger was born in 1927 in Bavaria. He was ordained a priest in 1951 and a bishop in 1977. He served as prefect of the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith from 1981 to 2005. For many years, he was a close associate of John Paul II. After his death in 2005, he assumed the throne of Peter. His motto was the words collaborator of truth, and indeed he was a collaborator of truth, and that truth is Jesus Christ, the way, the truth, and the life. He showed Christ, dedicated 3 works, 3 volumes to his person. In 2006, Benedict XVI came to Poland. During his pilgrimage, he made an important visit to the former German concentration camp, Auschwitz-Birkenau. During the prayer, which the Holy Father recited in German, a rainbow appeared in the sky, a symbol of reconciliation. God gave a certain symbol. He closed what happened then with Benedict XVI. There were a lot of signs in connection with Pope Benedict, but indeed, to read them properly, wisely, one must also look at the depth of the words and gestures Pope Benedict left us. In 2013, Benedict XVI assumed the title of Pope Emeritus. He devoted his time to prayer and contemplation. It was the first papal resignation since the 15th century. Since then, we have begun to better understand Benedict precisely through his works, through his speeches, and also through his testimony, because this man confirmed his teaching precisely with his personal life. Benedict XVI is considered one of the greatest theologians of our time. In his studies, the Pope placed a strong emphasis on portraying God as love. For the Church, I certainly think it was an important time. For Poles, it was also an important time, because his visits to Poland, for example, and his specific and deep love for Poland, expressed, for example, in the fact that he learned the Polish language. Benedict XVI died on the 31st of December. He had been suffering from multiple lateral sclerosis and had had speech problems since 2020. The retired Pope's body was laid to rest in the Vatican crypt in the former tomb of John Paul II. Day 316 of the war in Ukraine. The Russians shelled the center of Kherson, resulting in the death of a 20-year-old man. In turn, during the night, the Russians once again targeted Nikopol in the Dnipropetrovsk region with missiles. Vladimir Putin instructed Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu to declare a truce on the front line in Ukraine from noon on the 6th of January to midnight on the 7th of January.
A 64-year-old man died in the hospital after being seriously wounded during enemy shelling of Nikopol. The Russians attacked the city using heavy artillery and Grad rocket launchers. At least 30 artillery shells fell on Nikopol. Several houses and buildings were damaged, as well as power lines. Each day of enemy setbacks in the Bakhmut region and the Donbass significantly weakens the aggressor state. The occupiers have postponed the date of the expected seizure of all of Donbass by 6 months. They expected to do it by the new year, but our defenders succeeded again region. The invaders are steadily increasing their forces in the Donetsk region. Each new day of our successes is new proof of how crazy the idea of attacking Ukraine was. If such news from the front can bring everyone in Russia back to reality, we will have to provide as much of it as possible. Ukrainian forces have caused Russian forces heavy losses, but at the same time, we see that Russia has shown a great willingness to tolerate losses and suffering. We have no indication that President Putin has changed his plans and goals in Ukraine, so it's dangerous to underestimate Russia. Russian troops have lost more than 800 soldiers over the past 24 hours, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported. These are among the aggressor's highest daily losses since the beginning of the Russian invasion. The occupiers have shelled the Donetsk region. As a result of the attacks, 2 people were killed in Gorovka, and 1 person was wounded in Bakhmut. The town of Kurakhove suffered the most, according to regional governor Pavlo Kyrylenko. 6 houses and 2 stores were damaged there. Missiles also fell on Chasiv Yar, Soledar, and Wiman. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden has conveyed that he is considering providing Ukraine with fighting vehicles, the Bradley. Former White House analyst Mark Keynesian stresses that each support would provide a significant increase in ground combat capability. The Bradley is equipped with a 25mm cannon and anti-tank missiles. Earlier today, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan held a telephone conversation with Vladimir Putin. According to the Turkish president, to bring peace to Ukraine, a unilateral ceasefire is necessary. According to the Kremlin's communique, Putin expressed readiness for a serious dialogue on resolving the conflict in Ukraine, provided that Kiev fulfills the well-known and repeated demands and takes into account the new territorial realities.
Szczecin law and justice politicians intervened in the office of West Pomeranian Voivodeship Speaker Olgierd Glebevich in connection with the case of convicted paedophile Krzysztof F., an employee of the Speaker. The deputies addressed 11 questions to Geblevich, including questioning the office's tardiness and failure to inform the public about the case. For several days, demands have been made to the West Pomeranian Voivodeship Marshal Olgierd Geblevich for a proper apology and explanation of the case of his attorney, who was a convicted paedophile. Earlier, there were even demands for his resignation. First of all, why are we only learning about this case now? Law and Justice deputies recall that the Civic Platform was against stricter penalties for paedophilia. It did not vote for increasing paedophilia penalties. Olgierd Geblevich addressed the issue only through a statement posted on social media. Since I am being asked on social media by activists and pseudo-editors from Law and Justice what I have done in the case of the convicted paedophile, an employee of the Marshal's office and a rank-and-file member of the Civic Platform Party, I answer, I immediately suspended and dismissed the app and applied to the peer court for suspension and expulsion from Civic Platform. Krzysztof F. was convicted in July 2021 of paedophilia, soliciting children to consume drugs and possession of large quantities of narcotics. Journalists were only able to access this information a week ago. Convict worked for more than 20 years in the Marshal's office of the West Pomeranian Voivodeship, where he dealt with the prevention of addiction in children and was also the provincial plenipotentiary for the solution of addiction problems. Above all, however, I would expect stronger voices of stigmatization from Civic Platform parliamentarians. Gazeta Polska Codziennie 4 years ago obtained information about Civic Platform members convicted of paedophilia. In 2011, Łukasz M., a councilman from Warsaw's Praga-Północ district, received a sentence of 1.5 years in prison for possessing more than 3,000 photos and videos of child pornography and for sexual blackmail. Civic Platform activist Rafał P. was sentenced to 4 years in prison in 2015 for sexually abusing 3 boys under the age of 15. Piotr Z, 46, while serving as a Civic Platform councilman from a town near Słupsk, repeatedly raped his neighbour's 13-year-old daughter. Many of the Civic Platform scandals originated in the West Pomeranian province, a certain kind of an arrangement that is very difficult to get out of, and I have the impression that this arrangement simply breeds all kinds of pathologies. Krzysztof F. is a former Civic Platform candidate for the West Pomeranian Regional Assembly. He supported Rafał Trzaskowski's presidential campaign, served as a shop steward in his committee, and was active in the LGBTQ+ community. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business, and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.